That's my take on it.
All right. At this time, we'd like to open up the questions to the audience. Just raise your hand, and I'm going to come out with a microphone that apparently doesn't work. The battery's out on this one. All right, there you go. So right here.
Okay. Hi. I wanted to know how you feel access to fresh water in Milwaukee creates an advantage for brewing. Do you feel like that's something that Milwaukee has that's kind of special in terms of the brewing community? Or do you feel that it's something that can be adjusted no matter where you brew?
I guess I'm the Milwaukee guy. Good water makes good beer. There's no doubt about it. Everybody's always heard land of sky blue waters, Coors. I think that was the old tagline, it's the water. Water is important with beer. You always have to have clean water, and it's nothing we can ever take for granted. We always got to make sure that we have plenty of good, clean water, and I believe brewers also should have the feeling that they should be the guardian of good water. And if we push it, I think it'll always be here.
So I think we're blessed in Wisconsin, and especially here in Milwaukee, with 75% of the United States fresh water contained in the Great Lakes. So water stewardship at Leinenkugels is part of our DNA, and we have a program called Canoes for a Cause. And we're doing this not only in Wisconsin, but throughout the United States, where we're going and cleaning up river systems, Chicago River, Milwaukee, Minnehaha Creek, across the United States, to make sure that we put a focus on water. And even in our hometown, we're stewards of the Little Lake Wissota project up there, where it's a public-private partnership where we're teaching farmers how to better control their runoff, their manure runoff and other phosphates and things that they use in fertilizers. So it's part of who we are at Leinenkugels. I think it's critical. How important water is going to be, just ask the guys out in California. Petaluma and Bear Creek up there, and Cloverdale and Anderson Valley, and some of those brewers in Northern California, and go on down the coast to Paso Robles and Firestone Walker. Water is going to be a critical issue for them.
Not necessarily Milwaukee, but certainly the Great Lakes and around here. You can't drink oil, and you can't make beer with oil. And it's the brewers in Germany all banded together to fight fracking in Germany, and I think it's going to be on our shoulders as brewers to think about water policy in the United States, and certainly in the Great Lakes Basin. We had a disaster up in Kalamazoo, 840,000 gallons of diluted bitumen in the Kalamazoo River, which still hasn't been cleaned up yet. And that same company is pumping 23 million gallons of oil a day under the Straits of Mackinac, between Lakes Huron and Michigan. I'm building a new brewery up in Escanaba using Lake Michigan water. It's a concern, that we make sure that we take care of the water. And we all want to be energy independent. Our devices, our iPads and iPhones that we love so much, we're charging, we're using all that energy. But I think we need to have some policy in the states that thinks about water and what that's going to be for the future. And I think brewers should be some of the ones leading the way on that.
Thank you. Next question.
All right, so as far as you guys were talking about the 8% of what you guys do, what do you recommend as somebody who helps with restaurants, who does all the beer picking, all the beer choosing? How do you help somebody, especially an area that doesn't necessarily drink craft brews? How do you help urge that, like Pilsners? What are you guys doing for that? Maybe something Miller Bud comparative, something that's better, like Supper Club, Capital of the Supper Club. For example, how can us do better to help you do better?
I'll take this one. I'm the least qualified on this panel to answer this question. I make big beers. Everybody needs a lawnmower beer in their lineup. Everybody needs that so-called transition. You know, a lot of brew pubs always have one of those. They've always got the, I don't like that heavy beer. What do you got that's like Bud Light? Well, they have one. You have to have that. We all have that too, you know, in our business. Mine's a cream ale. Mine used to be 6%, my cream ale. Now it's down to 4.8. I think it's a better beer. Tastes better. And I think that there are a lot more people making a lot more Pilsners. Again, back to the water question. A fine Pilsner is based on the water that's available to you as a brewer. You can't fake a really good Pilsner if you don't have the water at your facility. Homebrewers in the crowd can all attest to that. And so I don't have Pilsner water. I am not in Milwaukee. So I do ales. I do English ales and American ales. I do some lagers, but I got to get pretty crafty with the water that's in the ground. So how do we help you, you know, with more transition beers? I think that's the session movement. I really do. I think that you can say, hey, there's a lighter beer here. It's lighter in alcohol. It may have a little more flavor profile, but try one of these. And it's really going to lead, bend the grass over on the path to a lot more people coming to craft.
You know, someone much wiser than me once said to a bunch of brewers, we're in the consumption business. And that makes a lot of sense. So my advice, and obviously I'm pretty biased into this towards anyone putting on a variety of beers, is look, there's an incredible variety of personalities out there representing everything from very mild malt emphasized, may it be a light beer, a good Pilsner, or way over to hop top monsters. Offer your customers a variety. But again, please remember that as a business owner, you're probably going to want that person to come and visit you and maybe have 2 or possibly 3 pints, as opposed to having one, wow, this is really something, but 2 hours later still choking the same one down. Who's making money? So that's what I would look for, consumption.
Well, obviously it depends on your customer base and what do they want. So it's the first step. There's a lot of great beers out there, all different styles. A lot of retailers now, some of us like this, some of us don't. They have a variety of beers and they change them pretty frequently. There's a lot of other retailers here you could probably talk to about what they do. I would say, I'm going to make an enemy on someone on the panel here, and I apologize, Larry, but Wisconsin has great beers. And I would just...
No, we share a lake. Let's share a beer.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks. Okay. That's perfect. So including Bell's, which is a spectacular series of beers, and way up. I mean, that's the gold standard for a lot of us. We make it. There's a lot of great beers around that are local that we'd ask you to try.
Just, we got to move on. I think working with the brewery rep, with the wholesaler rep, to do education. That's our job. Those of us in the wholesale and the brewing business, to come into your account and to help you hear what your issues are. You want to sell some better beer. We need to bring you the tools to educate your clientele, educate your staff first, so that they can talk to your clientele. Why should I try this, or what is this all about? Because if you have somebody that's drinking straight computer lager that doesn't understand that, here's a wheat beer. Why is it cloudy? Is it bad? So we got to give you the tools. That's our job. Give you the tools, your staff the tools, so that they understand, so they can go out and sell the beer.
Some great answers. Next question. Go back here in the back.
Enough about session beers. When it comes to, obviously you can't forecast the future, but there's a lot going on with sours, barrel-aged beers. Berliner Weiss is a big one. Especially for a lot of the high-volume brewers on the panel, what are you guys going to do in terms of freshness, in terms of, when you get barrel-aged beers, it's a whole different animal. I mean, the volumes aren't going to be there. You do a Berliner Weiss, it may only keep for a certain amount of time. I guess the question being, if the industry moves towards that, what are the larger craft brewers going to be able to do in order to maintain freshness? You know, logistically, what's it going to do in terms of packaging, distribution, that sort of thing?
Good question. Russ, would you like to start us off on this one?
I don't see, even though I love barrel aged and sour beers, I don't see them taking over the market right now. But one interesting thing is I see certain breweries out there having large barrel aged production facilities. I like to try to do more. A lot of people want to do more, and well, we just adjust to the market. Is essentially what happened. And with the sours, and we all play with them right now. They're great things to have. It's our one thing that I think our industry can do to combat wine, or look at that. Everybody looks at wine. You have a $20 bottle, we can have a $20 bottle of beer just as good. And so there'll be a lot of brewers, I think, getting into it. It's just not, we'll just kind of grow with that market when we do it.
One thing I've learned being with Miller Coors is that their logistics system is superb, and the engineering and their brewing capability is absolutely unmatched, unparalleled. I think a great example of a model right now that's happening in the beer business is ABI Goose Island. So Anheuser-Busch purchased Goose Island. What do? They take their more mainstream styles like Pale Ale, Conker's Ale, 312, put them in the bigger breweries, Baldwinsville, Fort Collins, etc., brew those there, ship them across the United States, but then invest in barrel aging capacity in Chicago. So they're able to work that trend, keep the beers fresh, keep them rotated, keep the innovation, and as Russ said, dedicate a production facility that they can operate at scale. And you know, Russ is playing around the edges. That's what we're doing at Leinenkugel 10th Street right now. But I think if somebody can figure it out at scale and can make money doing it, then they can win some consumers' hearts.